Hey, what's happening? Charlamagne Tha God here, aka Slime Seacrest, aka the Prime Minister of pissing people off, aka the ruler rubbing you the wrong way, aka the architect of aggravation. All that is me. And right now, you're watching Hot New Hip Hop. Well, I'm from Moncks Corner, South Carolina. I was born in Charleston. Salute to the whole 843. I was raised on a dirt road. Just a young kid who just knew I wanted to be successful in some way, shape, or form. My mother was an English teacher. My father, he did construction, does construction. But he was a street guy too, so he used drugs, he sold drugs. So I had both worlds in my house, and I was just looking to do something positive with my life because, initially I started off pretty good. I was doing what my mom wanted to do. I was the guy walking around with the fanny pack and the glasses on, in all the smart classes, reading Judy Blume and Beverly Cleary books, But then I just got on the wrong path, later on in life. Because I had two sets of cousins, Two sets of cousins. I could either be with the cousins that were in the football and being athletes and stuff, or I could be with the cousins that were running the streets. And, it was easier for a 5'4" kid, to run the street. And that's what I did. So I just started getting in trouble in school, and that being disruptive in school led to me being disruptive in the street. And then I ended up, in jail for assault and battery with intent to kill. And I did a few months for that. Then I started selling drugs, selling crack. I was a guy that was selling what we called quarter spoons, which was 7 grams. You're supposed to make $100 off each gram. So I would cut it up, sell 20s. And then I went to jail for that a couple of times. And after a while, man, what my father used to tell me all the time, which was if you don't change your lifestyle, you're going to end up in jail, dead, or broke sitting under the tree somewhere. And that's exactly what I started to see happening around me. I started going to jail, and then I started seeing, people who I grew up with go to prison, and people who I knew getting killed, and, older cousins and people that I used to look up to in my hood just really sitting under the tree doing nothing with themselves. And I was like, yo, that's not going to be me. So I just started working a bunch of odd jobs. I worked at a telemarketing place. I was the guy that would, call you and try to sell you 10 CDs for a penny. I worked at demo in the mall. I worked at a warehouse. I worked at a flower garden. And, I used to want to rap like most black kids in the hood. And when I used to want to rap, I was be at this recording studio called TNT Studios, and that's when I first met this dude named Willie Will. And Willie Will was a local radio personality at the time at Z93 Jams, and I just asked him, I'm like, yo, how'd you get in the radio? And he was like, I went down there and I got an internship. And I was like, yo, it's that easy? I can just go down there and get an internship? And he was like, yeah. I'm like, I don't got to be in school or nothing? He was like, nah. Mind you, this is 1998 in Charleston, South Carolina. So things were a lot different, but I went down there, filled out the internship papers, and, who's not going to hire somebody who's willing to work for free? And that's how I got my foot in the radio business. And the rest is, I guess, soon to be history, maybe. I don't know. My favorite place in Moncks Corner, definitely my mom's house, That's the house that I was virtually raised in. That same plot of land, it used to be a single wide trailer that me and all my brothers and sisters lived in. There's 5 of us, but my father built her a house, so I like being home with my mom. You know what I mean? I go to my grandmother's house, even though nobody lives over there anymore. Back in the day when I was young, it used to be a very vibrant place because my grandmother used to live there, and my grand uncle, Uncle Lewis used to live there, and my grand uncle Sam with her 2 brothers, they used to live over there, and my cousins, the Fergusons, Gloria and Charles, God bless the dead, they used to live over there, and then I had a whole another set of cousins over the fence, the Lifridges, so I used to going over there, but now some of the Lifridges are still over there, but nobody's on our side, so I just be I go there and just sit on my grandma's porch and just pray and meditate, and it just helps me to refocus. It's always good. Yeah, it's soothing. It's always good to go back, from to where you came from, in order to remind yourself of the position you're in and how it just gives you more energy to go hard. So it's real, for lack of a better term. All this industry shit, this shit is an illusion, man. It's quiet. Word up. You running the streets in New York. You in L.A. You I do a lot of different things. I'm at book tours. I'm making appearances all over the country, but it's just like no place like home just to reset you and just keep you focused and letting you deal with the reality of life. I think the biggest misconception is that it's easy, especially in this age of social media where everybody has a voice and everybody thinks their POV and their opinion is so fire. But it's a lot of people that can't get in front of this camera and do what I do. There's a lot of people that can't get on that radio and do what I do. You think you can, and trust me, I remember when I did my TV show Uncommon Sense, we did 3 seasons of that on MTV2. I had this whole idea where I wanted to start bringing like a lot of those voices from Black Twitter on television. Man, I auditioned like 100 people. Out of those 100, maybe like one, literally one, was ready for that, and that was Taxstone. Taxstone was just a natural conversationalist, just a natural personality on and off camera, on and off Twitter. Everybody else is mad socially awkward. Can't even form an opinion. Like, it's easy to form an opinion when you got 140 characters and you got time to think about an Instagram caption. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's sit here and have a conversation. Let's see if you can do that. Let's see if you're quick. A lot of people aren't. So I think that's the biggest misconception, that it's easy. And I mean, also, man, you look at the Breakfast Club. Breakfast Club has been on the air for damn near 7 years. I think that kind of consistency should be applauded. When something can be entertaining for 7 years, and arguably this is our biggest year ever, especially listenership. Matter of fact, it's not even arguably. Numbers-wise, this is our biggest year ever. Like, we're averaging like 4 million daily listeners or something crazy like that. We never had those kind of numbers. So I think that it's a testament to the fact that we've just been consistent, and people know that we're a brand that they can trust for just good quality entertainment. So, I mean, I've watched it from day one. I mean, one of the things that me, Angela Yee, and DJ Envy did when we came together collectively, we was already doing it individually, which was putting our interviews online. This is kind of like before the video thing, so if we could get a video camera when we all had our own individual shows, we would do it. Angela Yee did a great job of that. Then I started seeing Envy do it, and I would always put my audio out and put the video out when possible. So when we got together, the first thing we was like, yo, we got to record all our interviews. And so we started doing like sketches. I don't even know if people remember that. Like, we started doing sketches, like literal sketches about like things that were going on in the workplace. We need to start doing those again, but we'd put those out, and then we would record all of our interviews and put those out. And like, yo, these blog sites need content, So we fed blogs for a long time and still do. So we appreciate it. We appreciate like the love the internet shows us, and I just think that that's a blueprint that a lot of different radio stations follow. Not even just radio stations, just a lot of different media outlets, period. You see everybody recording their videos and putting them out and things like that now. So, like I said, man, I just feel like people think that it's easy, which it's not, and like people think being consistent is easy.
Would you say that's like the most difficult part about your job, is just remaining consistent with your content?
Yeah, I don't think it's difficult though, because excellence is just something that I strive for, and I like doing a good job. Not even just for the listeners, but for me. I want to be considered the best at what I do. I want people to, in the future, talk about the Breakfast Club and talk about Charlamagne the way we talk about Howard Stern, the way we talk about Wendy Williams, the way we talk about Star and Buck, the way we talk about Petey Green, if you know your history. Like, I want people to mention me with those radio greats, you know what I mean? I want to be one of those radio shows that gets into the Radio Hall of Fame one day. Like, that's what I'm always thinking about. I'm thinking about legacy, you know what I mean? I want to be mentioned with the greats. So it's not even about just like what listeners think, it's about what I think. Like, I just want to consistently be dope. I want to get better at what I do all the time. I want, like, when I'm sitting around having conversations and I'm like, yo, Howard Stern is a brilliant interviewer. Or Oprah, I'm listening to, Super Soul podcast, and I'm like, Oprah is a brilliant interviewer. Angie Martinez is a brilliant interviewer. I want to be mentioned with them. Oh, the easiest thing is just being myself. It's interesting when you're out and about and you're having conversations with, people who want to be in the radio business or the TV business, and they're like, yo, I want to be Charlamagne. I want to be the next Charlamagne. I want to do what Charlamagne does. Like, oh, Charlamagne, people say I'm like you all the time. You're not. And you're not just because you're not me. I am me. Like, that's why God gave me the DNA that he gave me, and he gave you the DNA that he gave you. The easiest thing to do is be yourself. Like, to wake up every day and be yourself. That's why when you ask me, about being consistent, that's easy because I'm me. I'm not trying to be anything but me. I'm growing, I'm evolving, and I'm bringing listeners along with that growth and that evolution. Like, you've seen me, evolve physically. You know what I mean? From getting in better shape to going to see a dermatologist and fixing up that skin discoloration, to seeing me evolve mentally, to seeing me evolve as a man. I'm a husband now. I got 2 daughters at home. I married my longtime girlfriend. Like, my priorities are different. The things that I care about are different. The things that I want to do are different. The way I'm using my platform is different. Like, it's just about growth and evolution. And I think I'm just taking people on that journey, but I'm growing, and I'm not afraid to let people know about that growth and know about that journey. So the easiest thing to do is just be me. Well, fuck your dream. If it's not your dream. Like, that's the biggest thing that you need to tell yourself. I have a principle in my book called Fuck Your Dreams. And the reason I have that principle is because, one of my mentors, Dr. Robert Evans, he said to me when I was rapping, like, you're not good at that. Like, you suck. But you're good at radio. If you focus on radio, you could possibly be one of the greats. And the other great advice he told me was that, if you want to be in the rap business, then be behind the scenes. You know what I mean? You got a good ear for beats. You know how to write. You got a good eye for talent. So be an A&R. And I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, plus rappers don't make no fucking money. So it's like that helped me out because that let me know, like, it's cool to be behind the scenes. Like, sometimes it's even better. That's why I love executive producing television shows and executive producing podcasts and stuff like that. Like, I like being the plug behind the scenes just as much as I like being in front of the camera. I actually think I like being behind the scenes more so than I like being in front of the camera. Like, I got specific things that I want to do in front of the camera. Like, I don't want to do everything. Like, I want to do my late night talk show, which I will eventually do. And then other than that, I just want to executive produce, original content for some network, original scripted content, And so like the biggest thing, man, you just got to know what's for you and what's not for you. I'm not going to tell you not to try, though, because you have to throw everything against the wall and see what sticks. But you'll know. You know what I'm saying? It's like trying to force a square peg in a round hole. Like, you'll know if something is not for you. Like, rap never came natural for me. Like, I'd be in that studio, in that booth, all off beat, and not in a good way like the RZA. You know what I'm saying? Like off beat in a terrible way, and like not sounding, it just wouldn't land. It wasn't natural. Like, it's something that if I continued to work at, eventually I could do it, but it just didn't feel right. But radio always felt right immediately. Like, radio was that condom that fit. You know what I'm saying? Like, not that condom that was too baggy or that condom that was too tight so it broke. It was that condom that fit. And, I fucked it. And I'm here now. So the key to being a great interviewer is to listen more than you talk. And another key to being a great interviewer is being a fan at the end of the day. And even if you're not a fan, just be open to discovery. There's plenty of artists that I'm not necessarily a fan of per se, but they come on the show and they just got a dope story or they're a dope personality, and it's intriguing. It makes you want to check out their art after that. I remember the first time Chance the Rapper came on the show. I had him pegged all wrong. Chance came, I think, when he was putting out Surf. And I remember never even checking for Chance because the name of his album was Acid Rap. And I'm like, I don't want to hear another drugged out rapper. So I didn't even give him, no pun intended, I didn't even give Chance a chance. Like, I didn't even listen. And then he came to this show, and I told him straight up, like, I never even checked out your music. And the reason I never checked out your music is because I just, saw your CD called Acid Rap, so I just thought you was another drugged out rapper. So I didn't even check for it. And plus I was listening to guys like Troy Ave when they was like, these guys are weirdo rappers. I did myself a disservice. But after that interview and sitting down talking to him, and I think it was Donnie Trumpet, I was just like, yo, I like this kid. I had him pegged all wrong. Everything I thought he was actually the exact opposite. So it's just like, I like that sense of discovery. Plus, I hate these media personalities who act like they know-it-alls. Like those elitist motherfuckers who think that if they don't think it's hip-hop, it's not hip-hop. Or if they don't know about it, it doesn't exist. Like, I hate that shit. I'm the guy that's willing to be like, I don't know, I'm not familiar with you. But that's why you're here. You know, I'm here to get to know you, and you're here for your fans that do know you. So it's like, yo, man, be a fan. That's number one, and be a great listener, because those guys are there to tell their story, and you just got to be a great listener to be able to take their story in. It depends. I don't like to fake it, you know, but if it is an artist I know that's coming in, I'll listen to their project. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't give a good critique of something if you don't listen to it. So I listen to their project. If it's an author, I'll definitely read their book. But I'm not going like I said, I'm not going to fake it. I'm not going to act like I'm the biggest fan. Like, yo, I checked out your album yesterday. You know, I just got turned on to you by, you know, like my man Relly or Academics. They put me on to you. So, you know, I'm not going to fake it. Like, I'm a grown-ass man. Like, it's just certain shit. I'm not listening to Lil Pump. I'm not listening to Extension Young. Not saying I won't. But, you know, if one of my youngins put me on to it, I'm going to pay attention to it. If I know they coming to the show, I'm going to listen so I can get a better perspective of, you know, who this person is. But you're right. You know, it is like I like discovery. You know, I think that curiosity is a good thing. I think not knowing is a benefit a lot of the times. Because, like, you know, I got a principle in my book, and the principle is give people the credit they deserve for being stupid, including yourself. And that principle just basically is saying the know-it-all knows nothing. Like, I'm not the guy that's acting like I know everything. And that's always been a benefit to me, because the first time I ever cracked a microphone in a radio station was at Z93 Jams in Charleston, South Carolina, and the best attribute that I had was the fact that I didn't know shit. I didn't know how to do radio. So being that I didn't know how to do radio, only thing I could do was rely on being myself, and that's what I did. I turned the microphone on and just talked, like I'm talking to y'all right now. Like, and that ended up being the best thing for me, because I didn't sound like everybody else. I cut through quick, because it's like, who is this guy? I didn't have rules to follow. That's actually why I left Z93 Jams, because it's funny, it was a guy who used to call the radio station all the time pretending to be a woman, and he used to say his name was Jamaica. Her name was Jamaica. He'd be talking mad freaky, like, so he have all the dudes in there open, and then like my boys from Orangeburg was like, yo, you know that's not a woman, that's a guy. His name is such and such. I forgot his name now, but I remember when they called and they was doing that freaky talk, I busted them out, and I got in trouble for that. And, like, they put me on liners, and liners is like when you got to just say the name of the radio station, the time and temperature, and what song is coming up. And, like, a new station popped up in the market, Hot 98.9, and when they offered me a job, I was out. I just couldn't do that structured liner bullshit. And Hot 98.9 didn't want me to do that. They wanted to hire me to make me a full-time radio personality, 7 to midnight, and they wanted me to be even more crazy than I was. They gave me free reign, and I ended up getting fired from there, but it was a great experience. Average day, radio, of course, Breakfast Club, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Check your local listings for whatever station we're on in your market. Then, you know, I don't go to the office at Viacom as much as I used to, but usually it would be going over there. But right now, man, it's just like running around, like doing different meetings for different shows that I'm executive producing. I'm working on my second book. You know, Wednesdays is pretty routine, because I do my podcast, The Brilliant Idiots, every Wednesday. But most of the time, man, it's really just radio, just interviews, and then just meetings for other things that I got going on. Like a lot of planning, you know. Our meetings for things that I already got cooking, just more creative meetings. Like, it's always a meeting to be had. Like, I just came from a meeting. You literally, you know what I'm saying? There's just always meetings, and then I go home and I'm daddy. You know what I mean? If I'm not going to the gym, I'm just at home with the wife, taking my daughter to cheerleading practice. You know, playing with my 2-year-old. It's just regular stuff, man. Living life. I was a snob when it came to podcasts, only because I do radio. So when my guy Chris Moreau, salute to my man Chris Moreau, he's one of the founders of the Loudspeaker Network. Chris actually does. He's our producer for our weekend syndicated show. So the Breakfast Club weekend syndicated show, Chris is the producer on, and Chris also was who I created my book with. So he would be the guy that I would write stuff out and then send to him, and he would flesh it out and stuff like that. And Chris is just a good dude, and it was 2 things he was always telling me to do. He was like, yo, you need to do a podcast, you need to do a book. And I'm like, why would I do a podcast? Like, I'm on the radio every day. I didn't see the value in it, but I got so many friends who have such great point of views and interesting point of views. And Andrew Schultz is one of them. And, you know, me and Andrew, we come up together from the MTV 2 days, you know, with Guy Code and Guy Court and Girl Code and all those shows like that. So, you know, we met doing that. And he was just somebody that I would enjoy talking to all of the time. And at first I had somebody else in mind for the podcast, but I'm like, you know what? Let me use Andrew, you know. Because, you know, you want people that have a different perspective than yours. Like, me and Andrew totally different. I'm a black country kid. You know, he's a white dude from Manhattan, you know. So it's just two different POVs. And, you know, we started doing the show maybe like 3 years ago, I think. I don't even remember, 2-3 years ago. And the first episode we did was with my homegirl, Jazz Fly. And it was called the Star Shame episode. And the whole first episode was about how shaming is good. How people should be fat shamed, because shaming is what makes you change. You know what I mean? And we saw success and instantly. I think we did like 30, 40,000, 50,000 views the first week. And I was like, wow. And then we just kept doing it. And then eventually checks started to come in. And now it's like Brilliant Idiots is its own entity. Like, you know, we got advertisers, we got merchandise, you know, we're developing it for an animated show, a cartoon. Yeah, so it's just like, it's one of those things that started because somebody told me it would be a good idea. And, you know, after I pushed my ego out the way and was like, all right, cool, I'll try it. It worked. Same advice I give you for anything else. Be yourself, because the only thing that's going to separate your podcast from everybody else is uniqueness. And the only thing that can make it unique is if you be your true, authentic self. Like, don't listen to, you know, to Reed and try to do what Kid Fury and Crystal do. Don't listen to Nori and Drink Champs and try to do what they do. Don't listen to, you know, Joe Budden and Rory and Mal and try to do what they do. Don't listen to the Brilliant Idiots and try to do what we do. Like be yourself, you know? Like, once again, I go back to Taxstone. Very unique personality with a very unique POV. And he came in the podcast game being himself, and he changed the landscape of podcasts. He brought street niggas to the podcast. You know, he brought the hood to the podcast, and then, like, that was just a very unique listening experience. And I mean, even the podcast I listen to now, I listen to people who have unique POVs. Like, I used to love The Champs with Neil Brennan and Moshe Kasher, and the reason I used to love them is because it was two white guys, you know, one Jewish. I don't think Neil's Jewish, but they were two white comedians who would only interview black comedians. And it was just interesting. Like, that was interesting to hear what they thought of black comedy and vice versa. And it was just unique. So I would tell anybody, man, just have a very unique POV. I mean, that's what separates Nori from everybody else. Nori it's like watching Inside the NBA for hip hop. Like how you sit up there and you watch Charles Barkley and Shaq and Kenny the Jet Smith. They actually played the game. They know these guys, you know what I mean? They know things that we don't know, and they bring it to television. Nori does that with the podcast. So just be unique. That's how you'll cut through. I mean, I don't really have a favorite interview I've ever done. I mean, you know, it's almost the end of the year, so when you ask me now what have been my favorite interviews thus far, I mean, it's easy. My favorite interview this year was Tiffany Haddish. We interviewed her in April. That was before all, like, the girls trip hype and all of that kind of stuff like that. And that's been my favorite interview thus far this year. But then I love, like, 21 Savage. You know what I'm saying? The first time we interviewed 21 Savage was a couple years ago, and I just loved his story. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't like what I thought he was going to be. Because, you know, a lot of times, man, you interview those young dudes, especially those young dudes from the street, they don't have no personality. You know, they're socially awkward. They don't really have much to say in interviews. 21 was the exact opposite, and I understood him because I was him at one point in my life. I grew up around guys that were just like him, you know, so I understood where he was coming from, man. And I know it sounds strange because you listen to a lot of the stuff he raps about and you hear about the things that he has done in the street, but I knew that he had a good heart, you know? And that's why I love when he's doing records now like Nothing New, you know, because that's like a very socially conscious hood record. Like, the video is a very socially conscious video. Like, he's talking about things that are going on right now, you know? And he just got his own way of saying things. Like, when he says, yo, I'd have shot that cracker if I was Rosa Parks. like, yo, that's just a very, very hood way of saying how he would deal with oppression, okay, and racism. And I don't mind that at all. So, yeah, guys like him, like I had a perception of him based off other guys I have interviewed that were supposed to be like him, and he was nothing like that. Like I love, I'm not one of them. I'm not these older dudes who shits on the young generation. I love watching the young generation flourish. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember when my father hated Method Man. I remember when my father hated Snoop Dogg. I remember when my father was making me cut my big ass afro because after Snoop caught his murder case, he's like, "You think you Snoop?" And he made me cut my shit. You know, now those guys are legends. So I don't know what these young brothers are going to end up being. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not one of these dudes who shits on the new generation. I'm not shitting on how they look. I'm not shitting on their music. I mean, even if I think it looks weird, like you got to give people a chance to grow and give people a chance to evolve. I remember when everybody used to come at Andre 3000 for the way he used to dress. I remember when people used to come at CeeLo for the way he used to dress. CeeLo was in a wedding dress. But you're not going to tell me CeeLo not one of the nicest MCs of all time. You're not going to tell me he's not. You know, you're not going to tell me Andre 3000 not one of the greatest rappers of all time. Like, shit. Tupac, y'all would hate Tupac if Tupac was alive right now. Like, y'all would really think that Tupac was just one of these reckless rappers who talk shit all the time because he literally dissed everybody. You know what I'm saying? And he did things now that, like, we would be calling him stupid for. But, you know, he ended up, he's a legend at the end of the day. So, you know, you just never know who these young guys are going to be, man. And, like, I'm just a stern believer in letting the young generation do what they do. Because if not, you're going to miss out on a lot of good guys. Like, I love G Herbo. I love Vince Staples. I love, Rhapsody. I love, 21 Savage. I like Kodak Black. I mean, I like Kodak Black personality, but I like his music. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just like, yo, let them kids flourish, man. Absolutely. Like, I don't want to be the Grinch that stole hip-hop. And I love Joe Budden, but I don't want to be Joe Budden. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, Joe, what do you like? Like, you can't be that older, disgruntled guy who doesn't like anything. I mean, it works for him. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, he truly feels that way. That's the one thing I give Joe. That's him. That's who he is. But that's just not who I am. Like, I'm not trying to be an authority on nothing. I'm just the older guy who grew up when things were a lot different. And, I'm here to give you advice when you need it, and I'm here to check you when I think you're doing something that's totally absurd. But, as far as, like, creative freedom, the way these guys dress and, like, the things they may say in their music, man, I can't knock these brothers. Like, that's the thing that trips me out when I see a lot of these older dudes talking about the content of these dudes' music. Like, oh, yo, these dudes rap about drugs and, using drugs. And I'm like, yo, we rapped about selling them. We ain't no better. The dealer ain't no better than the user, because you the guy that's providing the bullshit. So it's like, yo, hustling and being a fiend is really kind of one and the same. It's two sides of the same coin. So, like, you can't get mad at the person for doing poison when you selling it. Yo, 3 6 Mafia is the greatest example, and 3 6 Mafia are legends, but when it came to violence, they was in the clubs where, I bet you won't hit a motherfucker, hit a motherfucker. You know how many people I saw got laid out to that record? Laid out. Like, that was the song that DJs would play when they was ready for the party to end. You know what I'm saying? Sipping on some scissor. They been on that promethazine and codeine and that doing that lean and all that kind of shit. Like, they been popping pills and all of that kind of shit. So I can't really knock the new generation when 9 times out of 10 they're just following a blueprint that we laid. I think that the only thing we want from the game is balance. And I think that we're really looking at the most balanced. I think this is the most balanced hip hop has ever been, to be totally honest with you. Joe's hilarious to me, man. Like no, seriously. I've been knowing Joe for a long time. Joe's grandparents live in Sumter, South Carolina, and he used to come on my radio show in Columbia. So, like, we used to go bowling and he'd be at my apartment playing spades since, like, back in '04, literally. So it's like, he's hilarious to me. But, like, how you gonna knock somebody for being too positive? Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, what do you want? You're either ripping on somebody because they too negative, but you say they're too positive, like, where? Come on, man. Now you're just coming off as a disgruntled individual because you don't like nothing. Like, you don't like nothing. Like, what do you like? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, yeah. Like, and not only do we have, you can look at a guy like Chance and go look at a guy like Pump. Every region is represented. Everywhere. Like, Canada popping. The South is popping. New York is back where it needs to be. The West is popping, Midwest is popping. Like everybody's being represented, and like the guys that are like really, really standing out, they're the lyricists. Like a lot of times we focus on the little pumps and the little yachties and whoever else, and they're doing their thing. But the guys that are considered the icons of this era are the Kendrick Lamars, the J. Coles, the Drakes, the Big Seans, the Wale's, the Chances, like, those are the guys, like Vic Mensa, like, those are the guys who are making, like, real impact. So it's just like, what you mad at? Oh, man, I mean, that's interesting because that could change in an hour. Because it's never like one person that I'm like, oh, shit, I can't wait to interview this person. This weekend I was on a panel in Chicago. It was a men's empowerment panel, and it was me, Sway, D Nice, and Dougie Fresh. And I'm like sitting there listening to Dougie Fresh talk, and I'm like, Dougie Fresh is fucking brilliant. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I wasn't paying attention. Like, I know Doug for being a great performer, you know what I mean? Like, and I mean, of course, he's an icon, a legend, but I'm like, nah, this brother is brilliant. I'm like, I can't wait to have him on the Breakfast Club. Just because I know he's got so much to offer, this generation and our generation. Like, he just got so much to offer, period. Like, I can't wait to just sit and talk to him about the current state of the world and the current state of hip hop. So right now, at this moment, that's somebody that I'm really looking forward to sitting down and building with. Like, I'm not one of those for the moment people who just wants to sit down and talk to whoever is relevant and hot at the time. I want to talk to somebody who's really got a story to tell and really got some information to share that can help people. It depends. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes that's one thing that I would never do at one point, but man, I'm so cognizant of the culture nowadays, meaning that I care about how we're represented, and I know how easily we can be misrepresented. And like, it's certain artists, like, I mean, I'm not gonna say the person's name, but it was one time we had somebody up there. No, I'll say it was Irv Gotti, and we had Irv up there, and I respect what Irv does so much. You know what I mean? I respect what Irv has done, and I respect what Irv is doing in the TV and film world. And Irv said something that I knew was a little crazy, and I knew would get misconstrued and probably would hinder some things for him. So I took it upon myself to take it out and told him I was going to take it out. You know what I'm saying? I've had other instances where, guys would come on the show and say things that just weren't beneficial to the culture. It's just pointless shit, like shit that's just going to cause unnecessary problem, unnecessary drama. So I'm like, yo, we taking that out. I should have took that advice when it came to my guy, Lil Duval. You know what I mean? When Lil Duval, made the comments he made about the transgender community. And honestly, I did have that thought for a moment, but I'm like, I just didn't think it would turn out as bad as it did, but I should have, because it just wasn't beneficial for none of the parties involved. It wasn't beneficial for the Breakfast Club, wasn't beneficial for Lil Duval, and more importantly, it wasn't beneficial for the transgender community. Like, they already got enough scrutiny and enough oppression on them. So it's just like, I should have took my own advice and edited that part, but I didn't. But you live and you learn. Like, I'm not ducking nothing, man. Like, I'm not perfect. I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm gonna do things that everybody's not gonna agree with all the time, but that's life. You just gotta keep it moving from there. Scripted programming. Scripted, I mean, it's TV, period. You know what I mean? I've been in front of the camera a lot. I had a show called Charlamagne and Friends. I did 2 seasons of that. I did 3 seasons of Uncommon Sense. I've executive produced a couple projects, but I really want to get my Donald Glover on. I want to get my Issa Rae on. I want to get my Ava DuVernay on. So, I got a lot of scripted and unscripted projects that I'm working on, in development with a lot of different people. I want to take my late night talk show career to another level. Like I just mentioned, I had 2 seasons of Charlamagne and Friends, 3 seasons of Uncommon Sense on MTV2. And, I just want to do that on a larger scale. I want to do that with a bigger network, and I mean, that's what I'm just in the process of doing, finding a network home that'll let me be super creative, that'll really trust in my visions and let some of my ideas come to fruition. So, television is definitely something that I'm really, really, really about to put my foot in. But I mean, like this isn't a new process. I don't want nobody out there to see this video and say to themselves, you know, I just thought about this yesterday. Like this is like 4 years in the making. Like, you know, I've been studying. You know, I've been watching, you know, other executive producers, and I've been, you know, like on that other side talking to these executives at these television networks. Like I've been really studying the game, and I'm ready now. You know, I mean, we got some projects done. Like, you know, Nori's show is coming, On the Run Eating. That's definitely coming. You know, we got a lot of dope stuff in the works. A lot of dope scripted and unscripted content is definitely coming.